I used to think betrayal would feel like a knife to the chest. Sharp, sudden, final. But when I found those things in her purse that Tuesday morning, it wasn't a stab. It was a slow, suffocating chill, a creeping frost that settled deep in my bones. I was just looking for my car keys. That's all. Instead, I pulled out a small bottle of Viagra and a box of condoms. The expensive kind. The ones she swore we couldn't afford when I'd suggested spicing things up just last month. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and keep watching. Because the best part's coming up next. They were tucked neatly beside her lip gloss, as casual as loose change. Except they weren't for me. Emily, my wife of 9 years, had always claimed she was allergic to latex. Turns out she was only allergic to using them with me. I stood there in our kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator filling the silence, while I stared at those little blue pills and that unopened box. And what I felt wasn't heartbreak. Number. It was colder than that, sharper. Something that didn't scream but whispered. Something that plotted. My name is Ryan. I'm 36. I fix computers for a living. It's not glamorous, not the kind of job that makes women blush at parties. But it paid the bills for our small house in Maine. Emily? She worked in medical sales. Polished, ambitious, armed with the kind of smile that could close deals and open doors. And apparently, open more than that. Most men, I guess, would have stormed into her office, demanded answers, maybe thrown things. But I've never been that kind of man. I've always been the quiet type, the thinker, the kind of man who doesn't move until he knows exactly where the next 3 steps will land. So I didn't confront her. I got creative. First, I swapped every Viagra pill with extra-strength laxatives, same color, nearly identical shape, a cruel little chemistry trick. Then I took a needle and poked the tiniest holes in each condom wrapper. Not enough to notice at a glance, but enough to make them unreliable. That night, Emily came home all smiles, kissed my cheek like nothing had changed, and asked how my day had been. Same old, I said, smiling back. She didn't flinch, didn't stumble. She was good, too good. Over dinner, she mentioned another big presentation, another possible overnight stay at the downtown conference hotel. When I asked which hotel, she said, the Pine View Motor Inn. The Pine View, a rundown roadside dive that charged by the hour. She might as well have slapped me across the face with the truth. That night, while she slept peacefully beside me, I slipped an AirTag under her car seat. Technology has its perks when you know how to wield it. 3 days later, my phone buzzed. Her car was parked at the Pine View, Thursday. 2 p.m., supposedly she was at work. I drove over, parked across the lot, and waited. 20 minutes later, she came out of room 12, adjusting her hair. And behind her was Brandon. I knew him. I'd met him once, at last year's Christmas party. A muscled-up office bro with too much cologne, the kind of guy who flexed when he laughed and called everyone buddy. I watched them kiss, not a peck, but the kind of kiss that strips away all doubt. She was wearing the black lingerie I'd bought her for our anniversary, the one she'd said was too fancy for every day. My phone camera captured it all, time-stamped, geotagged, undeniable. But I wasn't satisfied. Not yet. Over the next 2 weeks, I studied them. I rented a car, parked near the motel, even booked the room next to theirs once. The walls were thin, too thin. I heard them. I heard Brandon laugh at me, call me a pushover. I heard Emily mock my boring job, my predictable habits, the way I dressed. Her laugh, sharp, brittle, cruel, cut deeper than any insult. Every word was a nail in their coffin. When they left, I walked to Brandon's BMW, pristine and smug under the streetlight. I loosened every valve cap until the tires barely held air. Then I emptied a whole can of sardine juice into his air conditioning vents. The next day, Emily complained about stomach cramps, thanks to my little pill swap. And Brandon? Word spread fast. He'd had explosive diarrhea in the middle of a squat session at the gym. Security footage making the rounds. His legend cemented for all the wrong reasons. Phase 1, complete. 2 weeks later, Emily sat me down at the kitchen table, her hands trembling, tears streaking her face. "Ryan," she whispered, "I'm pregnant." My heart froze. Pregnant? With me? Impossible. We hadn't touched each other in 2 months. I knew that with the precision of a man keeping track. "It's yours," she swore, clutching my hands. "I swear on my mother's grave." I nodded. I smiled even. "Are you sure?" Of course she was lying. Of course it wasn't mine. But I let her twist in her own web. That night, I lay awake beside her and plotted the next stage. I started with Brandon's job. A little research told me his company had strict policies about office romances. One anonymous tip to HR, complete with screenshots I'd stolen from Emily's phone while she slept, was enough to trigger an investigation. Next, I cornered Emily's best friend, Tessa, the one who'd been covering for her. I slid into her booth at the coffee shop. "We need to talk," I said. Her face went pale. "Ryan." I showed her the photos, the timestamps, the evidence. 3 months, Tessa. 3 months you've been helping her lie to me. She crumbled, confessed everything. Fake girls' nights, fabricated conferences, even shopping trips for the lingerie Emily wore for him. And when I asked if Emily had told her about the pregnancy, Tessa's stunned silence was all the answer I needed. From that moment, Tessa was done covering for her. The hits came one after another. Brandon's car stinking of fish, noise complaints at his apartment, anonymous packages landing on Emily's parents' doorstep, devout Catholics now confronted with their daughter's infidelity in black and white printouts. Emily's perfect little world began to crack. Her parents shunned her. Her co-workers whispered. Brandon grew distant, his career hanging by a thread. Like what you see? Click like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned. Let's keep going. One night, mascara streaked and hollow-eyed, she confronted me. "You did this, didn't you?" I could have lied. But instead, I smiled coldly. "Was it something I did? Or something you did in room 12 at the Pineview Motor Inn?" Her face collapsed. She begged. She swore she'd end it. She sobbed that we could fix it. But there was nothing to fix. Not when the child she claimed was mine was nothing more than a lie designed to keep me tethered. I saved the grand finale for Murphy's Bar. A Friday night when half the town was there. Emily, Brandon, their co-workers, our friends. I stood at the bar, phone recording in hand, when Brandon swaggered in. "Funny running into you here," I said. His jaw tightened. "How's work?" I asked loudly. "Any more HR issues?" Conversations faltered. People began to listen. Then I raised my voice, clear enough for the room to hear. "Just wondering how long you've been sleeping with my wife." The bar fell quiet. Brandon sputtered, denied, then snapped, and confessed. Loudly, in front of everyone. Emily's face went pale. And then I dropped the final bomb. "The baby she's carrying. Yours or mine?" Gasps. Phones raised, whispers spreading like fire. Emily broke down, sobbing. Brandon lunged at me, and I let him swing, stumble, humiliate himself in front of witnesses. And when Emily tried to leave, I stopped her with one last truth. That pregnancy test you threw away last week, the one that showed negative, I found it. You were never pregnant, just another lie. The crowd's disgust shifted entirely to her. Even Tessa backed away. Emily ran, mascara streaked like ash down her face, out of the bar, into the night. 2 days later, Brandon was gone. Car abandoned, lease broken. Rumors said he was on a Greyhound bus heading south. Emily tried to come back. She cried at the locked door, begged for forgiveness, said her parents wouldn't speak to her, her friends had abandoned her. Her job was gone. There is no we anymore, I told her through the door. The divorce was swift. She couldn't contest. I kept the house, the car, the savings. She got the debt. Months later, I heard Brandon was washing dishes in Florida. Emily was in Portland, broke, living in a cramped studio with 3 roommates, working at a call center. One night she left me a voicemail, said Brandon had tried to contact her, said she finally realized what she'd thrown away, said she hoped I'd find happiness. I deleted it without finishing, because in the end, I wasn't looking for apologies. I wasn't looking for reconciliation. I wanted them to understand consequences. And as I sat in Murphy's bar, nursing my beer, the laughter of the town around me, I realized I finally felt something I hadn't in months. Peace. Honestly, stories like this hit hard because they remind us betrayal isn't always loud and explosive. It can be quiet, calculated, and painfully slow. What really stuck with me was how Ryan, chose control over chaos, turning heartbreak into cold strategy. It's a dark path, but also strangely empowering to see someone reclaim their peace without losing themselves to anger. It makes you wonder, how would you respond if you were in his shoes? Would you seek revenge, forgiveness, or just walk away? If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life dramas and twists. And hey, share your thoughts in the comments. How would you handle a betrayal like this? Let's get the conversation started. Thanks for watching.